What's up, everybody? It's the Plant Based Nutritionista. I am so excited to wrap up our Heart Healthy Holiday series talking about blood pressure. Did you know we can normalize blood pressure with the food that we eat? Well, we actually make it abnormal with the foods that we choose to eat. And so last week's blog was all about understanding the nuances of blood pressure, what those numbers mean, that top number and that bottom number. We call it systolic and diastolic. We talk about what blood pressure really is and the force of blood moving through our arteries. We talked about all of those things that go into that number so that you can be empowered when you go into your medical appointments or even take your own blood pressure at home to know how your blood pressure is trending. In fact, I recommend everyone own their own automatic blood pressure cuff system so that you can keep tabs on something as simple as blood pressure. Why is that important, you may ask? Well, there are really no symptoms for elevated blood pressure until you're closer to crisis. And so if we know what our numbers are, we would be empowered, or we can be empowered to make decisions to normalize that number to below 120 and below 80. That's the magic number here in the United States. In the UK and in countries in Africa, that number actually starts at about 130. Well, here in America, 130 is considered stage one hypertension or high blood pressure. We look for numbers that are 120 over 80 here in the States. So know where you are if you're traveling and you get your blood pressure read so that you understand what your numbers mean. So listen, I actually want to share my screen. I want to share just a little bit of a talk I did earlier this year around blood pressure to an all female audience, if you will. We were looking at blood pressure in the African American community, specifically in women ages 18 and over. And I want to show you a trend that I observed as I researched the data and pulled the numbers myself. Let's look at how this is trending because we're going to tie all of this back to lifestyle. So as you can see, we are looking at numbers from ages 15 to 24, 24 to 45. And I'm going to just go ahead and close off my camera so we can focus on the slide. 45 to 64 is green, 65 and older is blue, and then all females for all ages that are African American is purple. It's that back line. And the thing about this that I find so inspiring and life-changing for us as African American women, these numbers are very similar for African American men. And guess what? They're very similar across all ethnic groups. We see our lifestyle behaviors starting to uptick here. Now, we're looking at deaths from heart disease in African American women. Now, what this could tell us is that what we learned about how to eat, assuming these things weren't congenital, but this is strictly number of deaths for diseases of the heart. What we see is that as we get older, the number of women that are dying begins to increase. What that tells me is that we can modify our lifestyle factors right here in a young adult age, even in our middle adulthood, so that when we get to our 65 plus, we don't end up as a statistic in one of these bars. This tells me that we probably have lived with heart disease all this time and eventually have succumbed to the disease, but we can do something about it. That's what is key here. Here's the other thing I want to show you. There are two top risk factors for heart disease, and it is high blood pressure and high cholesterol. We talked last week about high cholesterol. This week, we're talking about high blood pressure. And I just want to show you something, regardless of really the percent, close to 20, close to 35, it really doesn't matter. These numbers are still too high. I like to be at the head of the class a lot of times, but this is not an area where I want to be at the head of the class, where I want to see people who look like me at the head of the class. I want us not to be leading in this area. I always like to ask this question, and I'm already showing the answer on the screen here, but if the leading cause of death is heart disease, then what is the leading cause of heart disease? You're looking at it. It's our food choices and our limited movement, our limited physical activity. And I chose these four images just to drive home a point here. It's fast food, it's convenience food, it's packaged food, it's takeout food, it's fried foods. Our food choices, sugary and carbonated beverages. It's fake meat alternatives made in a laboratory that contribute to diseases such as heart disease. It's binge watching and eating mindlessly, not paying attention to how much we're eating while we're enjoying ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with watching a sitcom, but there is something wrong about doing it for hours and hours and hours on end, and you're constantly eating, and then you probably go to sleep thereafter. And it's just the mindless TV watching where we're just sitting, as opposed to maybe we walk if we're fortunate to have a treadmill or something like that at home, we walk, or even if we don't, we can stand and do physical activity right in front of our TV, squats, sit-ups, push-ups. We can walk in place. There's a lot we can do to increase our movement. But when we choose and we prioritize convenience and a sedentary lifestyle over choosing more whole plant foods and moving our bodies, well, we put ourselves on track to develop heart disease. So let's bring this home. The solution to heart disease prevention and improvement, and we're talking high blood pressure and high cholesterol, as an example, stroke, all these things that lead to heart disease, is very simple. Eat more whole plant foods and move your body. That's it. And make sure your primary beverage of choice is water. I love this visual display that I created because it shows there's so many different ways to move our bodies. There's such a huge variety of fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, beans and lentils, herbs and spices that we can enjoy. And if you're thinking, yeah, but I don't even know how to prepare it, well, that is news to my ears, or music to my ears. And I would love to invite you to our Food as Medicine Everyday workshop series where you master the art of plant-based cooking right from the joy of your own kitchen at home, because that's where it's going down. And I'd love to show you how to use more whole plant foods to take your health back one meal at a time. I hope you enjoyed the Heart Healthy Holiday series. I am the Plant Based Nutritionista, here to inspire you to take your health back one meal at a time by eating more plants, moving your body, and drinking that water. Happy New Year ahead.